What up, Ho Biscuits? It's your girl Skitten, back at it again. Every time a particular type of TikTok comes across my For You page, I experience just a sense of the deepest envy. Like, I turn as green as my fucking green screen back here, yo. And that kind of TikTok is the relaxing, aesthetic, home/living space TikTok where they show you around and there's plants here and it's messy but in a really nice way, because it's oh, there's some books there and there's some throw pillows over there and there's plants everywhere and sunlight filtering through the curtains. And I'm just why can't that be me? But if I were to show you guys my living space, aesthetic is not what would come to mind, okay? I have a gigantic, ugly, lumpy brown couch that is probably the most comfortable couch you will ever sit on, okay? I have a glass coffee table full of just stuff. It's just where we put stuff that we don't feel like thinking about, but it needs to be out of the way. And then I have another wooden coffee table that we just bought that is also full of stuff, but it's full of stuff for more immediate needs. So it's got our Xbox remote, TV remote, sound remote. There's a lot of remotes on there. Snacks, okay? Snacks which are easily available, and then drinks, because you gotta have your beverages. You gotta stay hydrated, okay? That's my living room area. Then, if I were to take you upstairs, you would just see piles of clothes everywhere. Some of them are clean. Most of them are clean. My pile of clean clothes is almost as tall as I am. And some of them are dirty. The dirty clothes are all, they're all congregated by the washer and dryer, because the intention is for eventually us to do the laundry. But we have so many clean clothes that it takes forever for us to finally need to do laundry. So it just keeps piling up. It just keeps piling up. Also, my house is a water bottle graveyard. There's just empty water bottles, half full water bottles, full water bottles, unopened water bottles everywhere. All over my house. They're in the bathrooms, they're in my beauty room, they're in the office, they're in our bed, everywhere. I found a water bottle in my dirty clothes hamper. How? How did that happen? How did that happen? I know how it happened. I was probably scooping up clothes. There was probably a water bottle in there somewhere and I just dumped it into the hamper. I know how that happened. Anyway, I wish I could be one of those organized nymphs who just floats through life knowing that her life is together, but that's not me. And I don't know at this point. I'm 27 years old. I don't know if it's ever gonna be me, Anti-Hoosin, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are staying safe and sanitized. That entire rant has nothing to do with the video that we're watching today. We are returning to Linfamy. The title of this video is Island of Women Who Get Pregnant by Spreading Their Legs to the Wind with Pics. To the wind? Okay. I don't know what's gonna happen here. I'm a little concerned to find out. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, this video will get a little raunchy, alright? Nothing explicit. I censor the hell out of the naughty pictures.
As you
but
should.
There may be mention of adult toys and adult stories.
Oh my god.
If that's not your cup of tea, you've been warned. If it is, you've been hooked. The idea of a land of sexy women was popular in many cultures, including China and Japan.
Okay.
Nothing like wet daydreams to capture the public's imagination.
Ew.
The land of women was mentioned more than 2,000 years ago in China. Over the years, the sexy lore grew. All kinds of theories sprang up stiffly. People said things like, the island women only gave birth to girls, or when men came, they never returned, or the women became pregnant by looking at their reflections in a divine well.
Imagine being
the
that
island
hot.
even showed up in official history books. The
Really?
history of the Wei dynasty, written all the way back in 554, tells of a land in the sea northeast of the Korean peninsula where only women lived. A Chinese encyclopedia had this entry. Ages ago, an expedition stumbled across an island. The women inhabitants stole their ship, trapping the sailors.
Damn.
The men almost starved, but one brave man took back the ship, and they
How?
all escaped. Some said the women of the island became pregnant by looking at their reflections in a well.
Imagine being hot enough that you can impregnate yourself just by looking at yourself. Kind of like how Jason Momoa impregnated.
Others said they became pregnant by opening their legs to the air, inviting the south wind to come inside.
I don't think that's
Why
how
so
that
much
works.
talk about weird ways to get pregnant? Well, it makes sense. The first thing you'd ask when you hear about this place is, if there are no men, then how do they have kids? And can I help? Another theory said that women became pregnant by bathing in a yellow lake.
Why is it
And
yellow?
if they gave birth to a baby boy, it would die right after age 3.
That's so sad.
Terrible, but it did ease the pressure of having to find birthday
Oh my
gifts.
God!
Chinese ideas were like Instagram models. They tended to spread everywhere.
Wow.
The island of women idea reached medieval Japan and became a big hit, especially in the adult industry.
What does that
Adult
mean?
artists and red light districts jumped on the opportunity and rode it to their advantage.
Oh boy.
In Japanese, the island is called Nyogogashima. Here's a famous story about the island, told in graphic illustration form. The grown-up stuff is censored, but if any of you degenerates really wants to see them, I put the uncensored video on my Patreon or YouTube membership. Just check out the description box below. Alright, this story is called A Treasure Ship Arrives at the Island of Women. It starts with 3 men. Our heroes are a craftsman, a playboy, and a doctor.
Not a
They
playboy.
decide to brave the waves on their way to the island. When they arrive at the land of the rising bun, some women take them to the mistress of the island. She and her ladies conduct a thorough inspection of the men's spears, and what impressive spears they are. Now, some of you may be thinking, wow, those are gigantic spears, if you say so. Now, enormous spears were a key feature of Japanese erotic prints. They were required, very important. After the inspection, the mistress gets positively thirsty. Her throat is like the Sahara Desert, and her crotch is like the Amazon rainforest. The inspection must have gone well, because here are 2 of our heroes enjoying a nice time with 2 ladies. The woman on the left, wearing the golden hairpin, is the mistress of the island. What a great artist. You can almost hear the sounds of people eating at a ramen restaurant coming from the painting. The guy in front seems to be doing some expert manipulation with his hands on the lady's parts. Oh, look at the mistress having a good time on her throne. The Island of Women stories took off in Japan's red light districts in the Edo period. No surprise, because red light districts like the famous Yoshiwara were pretty much islands of women. They were
Okay.
walled off from the rest of the city. Yoshiwara itself was surrounded by a moat. Writers hyped up the island, made it seem like a heavenly sex realm, a land of pleasure beyond your wettest imagination. In one story, a group of friends set sail on a one-way trip to the island. The main character, Yonosuke, called the island his Pure-land. In Buddhism, the Pure-land was an afterlife for people who were saved, like a Buddhist heaven. The boys brought along an ample amount of supplies to prepare for life on the island. 250 pairs of metal masturbation balls, 600 penile attachments, 2,550 water buffalo horn dildos, 3,500 tin dildos, 800 leather dildos, 200 erotic prints, 900 bales of tissue paper, and a partridge in a pear tree. Essentials for any trip. Artists also had a field day with the island, and not just the X-rated artists. Legends say that Minamoto no Yoshitsune traveled to many strange lands, including an island of women who get knocked up by the wind. The women wanted to chop up the men to make talismans,
Chop
but
them
Yoshitsune charmed the ladies by playing his flute. He promised to bring back 10,000 men to them, so they let him leave. Here's a drawing of Yoshitsune's arrival. It's full of curved lines to arouse sensual feelings and remind you of feminine things. The curly waves, the sloping island, the round tip of the boat. The 3 ladies are supposed to be seductive because of their flowing dresses and that erect tree behind them. It's the
Okay.
only rigid, straight thing in the whole painting.
Makes sense. With a jutting branch out, yes.
This story is called The Lusty Man from Akashi Arrives on the Island of Women. This man hears of Yonosuke's voyage from the earlier story and rushes to find
He
the
said,
island
I gotta
himself.
go. I gotta
he lands
see
on
this.
an island where everything is female. There are only female birds and deer, only female pine trees. Even the waves
How
are
the
female,
pine
meaning they're
trees
low
only
waves,
female?
not high ones. Some women take him deeper into the island. The women on this island have another weird way of getting pregnant.
Suspicious.
They just sleep with a picture of a handsome man beneath their sheets, and boom, pregnant.
Okay.
He sees a row of houses where lusty women call for him to come inside their homes.
I wouldn't do
he
that,
finally
sir.
meets the mistress of the island, who greets him with a welcoming sex party.
Wow,
it's a
this
pretty
is
sweet life,
very
but he eventually
explicit.
grows homesick and decides to leave.
He
The women
leaves.
say
I'm
goodbye and
dead.
give him a box, but tell him never to open
Then
it.
why did you give it
The
to
man
me, bitch?
gets home, puts down his luggage, and opens the box.
Like an idiot.
It spews forth a current of white liquid that shrivels his mighty pee-pee. That'll teach him. This sounds like a parody of the old folktale of Urashima Taro. I have a video about it if you want to see.
Okay.
Buddhists are well-known haters of fun, so they loved Sex Island because they could tell people how bad it was. In one story, a group of men opened a brothel on the island, with them on the menu. They traveled miles just to give these women a few inches. They served beautiful women day and night, but eventually they felt unfulfilled and tired.
It's because of the soul ties, man. Y'all are not thinking about the soul. I don't believe in soul. I would just like to be very clear. I think soul ties are a fake thing that people bring up to try to moralize the act of sex. And I don't think that's a good idea. But, you know, that's why they felt unfulfilled.
Then they died.
Not they
Only
died.
one man stayed alive. He kept going strong, seeing 50 women a day.
50?
They said it was like he was made of iron. Now it may seem impossible to fit 50 women in one day, but not really. If my engineering degree has taught me anything, it's that sex should be quick and fast. We're all about efficiency here. But soon the man too grew tired and unfulfilled.
And then he died.
Luckily, a sage rescued him and said, "That's why I sent you to the island of women, so you could learn that clinging to desires will cause great harm." He also said the reason the guy didn't die like the rest was because the Bodhisattva Kanon had saved him.
Oh,
She
shit.
had turned into a wooden dildo and took his place. What a badass goddess.
What?
The island of women seems similar to another island from Japanese folklore, Rasetsukoku,
Yeah, the
island
women
of
cannibals.
demons.
We
It's also a
watched that
sex
video.
island, and I also have a video about it. The lore for these two islands mixed, making them almost the same place.
Very close
They were
to
like
it, yeah.
both halves of the same pair of titties. In Edo period maps of Japan, the island appeared as a place.
Also, you spelled titties with a D, and I completely forgot that there's people out there who spell titties with a D instead of with T's. They spell it T-I-double-D-I-E-S instead of T-I-double-T-I-E-S, and that feels wrong to me in my spirit, you know?
South of Japan and was even labeled with both names. Although the island of women wasn't real, it was real enough for men to spill their tea on, and
dead.
that's what matters.
There was a lot censored in that video, so I don't know how I'm gonna show that to you guys. I'll figure it out, but it was a pretty good video. It was really interesting. I like that, you know, he came at it from like multiple angles and that there were multiple like facets to the legend. So I think that was really interesting. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave your reaction requests and recommendations down in the comments below. And other than that, peace out, Ho Biscuits. It's Skittin' Lit.